The backdrop to this is that up until now, they've had the Mishkan. They've put up the Mishkan. And the Mishkan has been, they've had what's called the Shivas Yemei HaMiluim. Shivas Yemei HaMiluim is the 7 days of inauguration of the Mishkan. And after the 7 days of the inauguration of the Mishkan, then comes the first day of the month of Nisan, which is the 8th day. Right, the 8th day, this is the day that the Mishkan is, this is the day of the official inauguration. Like the 7 days leading up to it, and then you got the 8th day. So the culmination, this is the culmination of the inauguration. So the Torah starts with, Vahi Bayom Shemini, was on the 8th day, Kora Moshe la'Aaron u'Levanov, Moshe calls to Aaron and his sons, Uleziknei Yisrael. So he tells Aaron, let's read a couple of psukim, then we'll see how, thank you very much, Giva, then we'll see how all this fits together. Vayomer el Aaron, kach lecha egel ben boker lechatos, take a sin offering, ve'ayil a calf, ve'ayil and a ram le'ola t'mimim as a burnt offering, ve'hakrev lifnei Hashem. So page 588. So if you take a look at the second Rashi on the page, it's in the right column. Rashi on Pasuk Beis says, Kach lecha egel. Why is Aaron taking a calf? Why is Aaron taking a calf as an offering on the day that he's being initiated as the Kohen Gadol? The first 7 days, Moshe Rabbeinu served as the Kohen Gadol. And the Medrash actually says Moshe Rabbeinu thought he was going to be the Kohen Gadol, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says on the 8th day, no, that's not what I had in mind. That's not what I had in mind. It goes to your brother. And so it says, Kach lecha egel, it's the right column of Rashi, bottom line. Lehodia shemechaper lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is to let him know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is atoning for him al yedei egel zeh al maisei ha'egel she'asa. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu is atoning for Aaron as he initiate the Mishkan. And according to some, remember there are two basic approaches among the Rishonim. According to some, the Mishkan was a planned all along, that there was going to be a Mishkan. According to others, there wasn't going to be a Mishkan. The Mishkan was only a response to the sin of the golden calf. That means that after the sin of the golden calf, that means up until the according to that approach, God's presence, the way it was concentrated and rested on the Mishkan, that's how God's presence was going to be concentrated and rest on the entire Jewish people. After the sin of the golden calf, that was removed. After the sin of the golden calf, that concentration, that idea of concentration in all over the place, wherever Jews are, that's taken away and it's put into one concentrated place, which is the Mishkan, because the Mishkan is a response to the golden calf. That's according to that opinion. According to the other opinion, it was never meant to be all over the place. That concentrated in one place as a meeting place itself is a sign of significance. It's like if you ever have an important meeting with somebody, so you designate a place, usually a restaurant, right? Usually a restaurant, but that's where you designate a place where we're going to have an important meal. Then you wine and dine the guy, right? And you wine and dine the guy and sell your product. But it's an important meeting because you've once they let's meet over there, that shows you that it's important. Those are two approaches to the Mishkan. Be that as it may, according to most, the Mishkan is a response to the Egel. And now Aaron, who is initiating, has become the Kohen Gadol, the main servant in the Mishkan, he brings a calf. Why is the God telling him to bring a calf? The answer is that calf becomes a sign, I have forgiven you for your involvement in the sin of the golden calf. That's going to be a theme that repeats itself here in this entire section. So one of the commentaries, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein Zatzal, he says like this: Why is it that normally a korban, when they separated the korban Pesach, so how many days did they have to have the Korban Pesach standing before they separated? What day did they separate the Korban Pesach? On the 10th of Nisan. The 10th of Nisan, they separated in Egypt, they separated the Korban Pesach, they tied it to their beds, and they waited for 4 days till they slaughtered it on the 14th. In the Beis HaMikdash, when they had to bring an offering, the offering had to stand. There was a certain amount of time that the offering was brought out so that they could check the offering over the course of 3 or 4 days to make sure there are no blemishes and imperfections that invalidated from being a korban in the Beis HaMikdash. Why here don't we find anything? That's where Moshe finds it. Or say, Moshe calls Aaron and says, okay, bring an offering. He never mentioned setting aside the offering so you could have the preparation process leading up to the actual sacrifice. Why here? He said, just take the offering and now bring the offering. So Moshe Feinstein says that there's a certain attitude that you find among people. Let's say you do a mitzvah. Yeah, let's say you do a mitzvah. You did a mitzvah. You help your friend move. You learned with a chavruza for an hour. What is the general tendency, or I shouldn't say necessarily the general tendency, what's a very common tendency people have after you've done a mitzvah? Now we take a breather. Take a break. Let's get back to real life for a little while. Then we'll go back to it. Sam, you know what? Open the window or something. There's absolutely no air in here. Most people, after you've done your mitzvah, now let's take a breather. That was an exertion. Now it's halftime. Let's get back to reality. Let's read the paper, or let's watch TV, or let's go do something. Then we'll go do another mitzvah, because I don't want to waste too much of my life doing mitzvahs. So Moshe Feinstein says the contrary. The Torah is teaching over here. You know why they didn't take a break to go and check out the korban? The Torah is teaching you just finished one mitzvah. You have the 7 days of inauguration. Go straight to another mitzvah. You don't need a break. Every time you do a mitzvah, you don't need a break. So the guy goes, I went to shul, I'm a national hero, I put on tefillin. Okay, now I got to go home and read the paper. You could go straight from shul to your chavrusa, and straight from your chavrusa you could go to mincha, and straight from mincha, you could eat lunch, and after lunch you could learn again, or you could go do chesed. Don't take a break. You don't have to take a break. It's not like, okay, let's make sure we took a break between mitzvahs. Yeah.
Are those things considered actually doing mitzvahs, or is it something considered that we're actually supposed to be doing on a daily basis anyways?
When you say those things, which things are you talking about?
Saying like
Going to shul and putting on, those are mitzvahs.
Yeah.
Very much so.
But you're supposed to be doing it anyway.
Of course, that's why it's a mitzvah. The word mitzvah means it's a command. That's why you're supposed to be doing it. If it was volunteer, it wouldn't be a mitzvah. I mean, you could volunteer to do a mitzvah. And to the contrary, it's a bigger mitzvah because you're told to do it. Do you know the Gemara says that? The Gemara says, Godol ha-mitzvah v'osa misheina mitzvah v'osa. Who gets greater reward? Somebody who's commanded to do a mitzvah, or somebody who volunteers to do the mitzvah?
Commanded.
Right, which is counterintuitive, because you usually think of volunteers, because it's a mitzvah. I don't like being told what to do, and neither do you. As males, we particularly don't like it, and as people, we certainly don't like it, and as Jews, we absolutely resent it. Hey, don't tell me what to do, Hey. So the fact that you have to do it every day, we forget that. That's why you bring up an important point. We forget that when you go to shul and you put on tefillin, you just did a mitzvah. You forget that. People forget that all the time. I just did a mitzvah. You didn't just go put on tefillin. You did a mitzvah just now. Why? Because we do it on a regular basis, so sometimes we take ourselves for granted. But you have to give yourself a little bit of credit. You just did a mitzvah. But just because you did a mitzvah doesn't mean you're going off, you're now retiring. It's not, you did a mitzvah. Okay, now go do another mitzvah. That's what you were put into this world for. We weren't put in this world to vegetate. We're put in this world to accomplish. So each mitzvah that we do is an accomplishment. Yeah.
That's related to the korbanot that he did one of.
That's the idea that he tells them, one korban, take the korban. We don't find any break. Okay, wait a few days and inspect the korban. Moshe Feinstein is just saying the Torah's. It's not the plain meaning here. He's just saying the ethical lesson that you could learn here is you just finished one thing. You had this preparation for the Mishkan. Okay, now get with it. Now bring the korban. Not everything. Don't let things be interrupted all the time. Because sometimes we're afraid to become too great. We're afraid, I might actually become, a person who's really devoted over here. Don't be so afraid. I know a guy's, he's got brother-in-law. There's a guy he himself became frum. He married an Israeli woman, and she's got two brothers who are pilots for El Al. And with pilots for El Al means that they were pilots in the Israeli Air Force. So one of them was outstanding. He flew an F-15 or an F-16, one of the, I think an F-16. The other one wasn't quite as good. You had to be pretty good to make it to the Israeli Air Force. You have to be pretty good, right? Yeah, but he wasn't quite as good, so he flew a helicopter, right? So he told me that, I once asked him about his best. So one of the things he told me is that, number one, the pilots are taught to be very cynical. Number one, they're built up. You're the best. You're the greatest. Nobody in the world's like you. So the ego is built up, and number two, they thought everything bounces off. Everything you just kind of push everything away. You just kind of laugh it off. From the confidence that they try to instill in you. So I asked him once if his brother-in-law, who's completely secular, I asked him once if he ever got interested in Yiddishkeit, the one to flow the F-16. So he says at one point he was checking into Yiddishkeit, and at a certain point he said, you know what, I'm worried this is going to make me, I'm going to become frum, so I'm not going to. He cut it off completely. Cut off the family. Cut off completely. He had nothing to do with it. It has very little to do with it because it might become from. So in life, a person, don't worry about it. If you become that, it's usually because you want that. Guys have told me all the time over the years. Guy says to me, "Listen, I like being, I'm Shomer Shabbos. I can't see myself in a black hat." My response is, "I can't see you in a black hat either." I can see certainly not until you take the earrings out of your the earrings out. Most people with black hats don't wear earrings. You know, I don't see it with in a black hat either. I don't know anybody who ever put on a black hat under duress. Okay, rabbis, let's hold them down. You four hold them down, I'll put the hat on them. And that never happened here. You know, if a guy decides one day to put on a black hat, it's because at that moment he feels that's what he wants to do. There may be a certain amount of peer pressure that he feels, but we always give in to peer pressure. Peer pressure is something when you're a lawyer, you wear a suit and you walk around the airports with a trench coat draped over one arm and the Wall Street Journal in the other hand. Right? That's the uniform. And the reason you do it is because you want to do it, because you feel you want to fit in with that group. But it's only because it's something you want to do. Nobody's forcing it. It's not a gun to your head. We all respond to peer pressure. If you wear blue jeans, dirty blue jeans and a T-shirt, so it's because you're hanging around with people who are blue jeans people. And that's what you want to wear, because that looks good. When you're a peer group, we always give in to our peer group, or it's more comfortable. That's true. That's true. But the truth is that it's not necessarily more comfortable. You know, regular pants are also plenty comfortable unless they're too tight. They're plenty comfortable. So you always fit in with the peer group. So sometimes people are worried, I don't want to do too much of this. I might become, but if you become more devoted, it's because at that moment you want to be more devoted. That becomes who you are. It's not that it's an artificial, I see myself, I see, Rabbi Samet projected on who I am today. No, you're not going to behave like him if you are who you am today. Nobody expects you to, but as you grow, your behavior reflects your growth in a very natural way. And some of these people are holding themselves back. I'm worried. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? You're going to become more firm and therefore turn into a turtle? I mean, what do you think is going to happen to you? And if you do become a turtle, so at least you'll be wearing a black hat. It's not the end of the world. You'll be a turtle with a black shell. We'll paint the shell for it. Right? So what are you nervous about? That's the idea number one. Idea number two is you notice the Torah says, that's on the one hand. On the other hand, it says, Kara Moshe la'Aaron. Right? Moshe called Aaron. Now, why are you calling him? Why does it say Moshe said to Aaron? What does calling mean? I mean, Aaron was right there. Why are you calling him? It should say, Vayomer Moshe la'Aaron. Why is it Kara? Moshe summoned Aaron. He called out to Aaron. Why are you calling out to him? He's right there. He could hear you. Okay. It could also say Vaydaber el Aaron, and as soon as you say El, it's specific. Why is it Kara el Aaron? He called to Aaron, and especially if you're in close proximity, he's not a cab driver who's yelling at you from a foot away. Why are you calling out to him? The answer is that on the one hand you're going from one mitzvah to the other. On the other hand, this is a new mitzvah. Korah, it implies it's a new summoning. I'm summoning you now for this mitzvah. It's a new mitzvah. That means you could go from one mitzvah to the other, but don't allow the fact that you're involved in mitzvahs to become something that is you do by rote. There should be a new enthusiasm for every mitzvah that you do. And when I say a new enthusiasm, I don't mean a rah-rah. I'm going to do one of those artificial rah-rah and annoy everybody with your mitzvah. I mean, just that as you do the mitzvah, oh good, I have the privilege of doing another mitzvah. In Yiddishkeit in general, serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, pay attention very carefully. In general, the rule is your service, your mitzvahs, our mitzvah. I should say you. I say you because I don't want to blame myself, but I'll blame myself. Our approach to Yiddishkeit should be, it is automatic, but not mechanical. It's automatic, but not mechanical. What is that? What's the difference between automatic and mechanical? It's automatic that I'm going to tomorrow. I'm getting up tomorrow morning, going to davening, and putting on tefillin. Automatic. It's not debatable. It's automatic that I'm going to be eating breakfast. It's automatic that I'm going to be eating supper. That's automatic. But it's anything but mechanical. When I eat supper, it's with great enthusiasm, and it's something that I'm good at and I do well. And it's always evolved. I was once sitting in my house. The kids were young. The kids were all young. My wife was busy putting the kids to sleep or bathing them and stuff. And I'm sitting at the table. I came in. I have a late supper. It's about 9 o'clock at night. So I'm sitting there. So my son comes over. He's about 5 years old. I'm eating supper. About 5 years old. He puts his face right in my face. I'm sitting there. He puts his face right on the table. He looks at me. He goes, "Daddy, do you love to eat?" Just like that. So it kind of caught me. It kind of caught me as I said something. I said, well, something lame like, well, do we love to eat? I mean, we don't love to eat. We eat so we can be strong and serve Hashem, there's like something lame like that, and then, and he just looking at me, he goes, oh, like that, and he went straight from philosopher to man of action and went off and beat up his sister or something. I don't remember okay. Then I was wondering, how come he said that to me? How come he never put his elbows on the, Daddy, do you love to learn Mishnayos? Right, that he never said to me. Why not? Why not, Chaim? You know what the answer is? I've never yawned when I've eaten supper. Never, ever. I don't remember yawning when I eat supper. I've never yawned in an ice cream shop. Ever. I don't ever eat an ice cream sundae and yawning. More whipped cream. I never yawn. Right? When you open up a Gemara, the first thing you open up your Gemara in the morning, the first thing, okay, let's go. Let's see where we were. And the first thing is a yawn. Right? Because if people pick up, I notice, look at the lunchroom. I'll give you $1 for every yawn you see in the lunchroom, and not including the workers. Not including the workers. When there's schnitzel on a schnitzel night, give you a buck a yawn in the lunchroom, right? A buck a yawn. But you give me $1 if you don't find any. How's that? Take me up on it? You're gonna lose $1. You're gonna lose $1. I'm telling you right now, you're gonna lose $1.
Can you tell people ahead of time?
No, you can't tell people ahead of time. And the answer is that there's a certain enthusiasm. When we do mitzvahs, that's what we should have, the enthusiasm for mitzvahs. You have the enthusiasm for mitzvahs, the enthusiasm for Torah learning in general. And you don't have that because we don't appreciate that. Again, enthusiasm doesn't mean Baal Tshuva rah enthusiasm. Oh, let's do a mitzvah. That's not what we're talking about. Enthusiasm means that we're doing it on our own with a certain energy that we're doing it. I'm happy and excited to do the mitzvah. Not one of these, not one of those jobs. This is the word Moshe finds, it says on the word Kara Moshe, the top line, where it says Moshe called to Aaron. Called to Aaron means this is a new calling. It's a new job Aaron has, as opposed to whatever mitzvah he was involved in up until this point. That's the idea.
Which pasuk?
Top pasuk, top line on page 588.
Oh,
top
line.
line.
First one.
Top line, yeah, first one. Okay, that's the idea. I think I mentioned in the past the same thing when it comes to learning. Same thing when it comes to learning. If you knew that there's something called magic eye. You've seen magic eye. You know what magic eye is. So you hold the book and you you take it like this. You're like, I don't see anything. I can't see it. I watch people. And also there's a certain point the person's like, that's amazing, right? It's always that's amazing. You see, also something opens up. That's what we should really be feeling when you learn Gemara. If you're looking at the Gemara and say, oh, that's what Tosa. Oh, that's why the Gemara meant by migu. Oh, I didn't notice that problem in the Gemara. Oh, that's what should be happening to us. And that's what if you learn something in Chumash, you didn't see it, an idea, a concept that you didn't hear. It's endless. It's endless. There's no reason not to be enthusiastic about it. The problem is, there's a difference. There's one big difference between this and anything else that we do, and that's that there is a Yetzer Hara. There is a Yetzer Hara that is fighting against us. When you read the newspaper, watch people reading newspapers. People read the newspaper every day with the same enthusiasm. Every day, the newspaper, everybody's got a time they read the newspaper. What's the newspaper? What's in the newspaper already? What is it? It's who killed who locally and who killed who in the rest of the world. Right? It's basically the same stuff. Editorials, none of us read if we have any self-respect. And what do you call it? Who's interested in what some writer has to say about the world? I could also formulate opinions. So I shall read his opinions. They're usually wrong. And if it's just plain news, I mean, so there was a bomb over here, and somebody got shot over. It's never like, and great news today. There's no like great news. It's just like all depressing news. They actually put out once, they tried putting out, I think it was a newspaper or something, with only happy news. Some guy won a lottery, and somebody else, finally the girl said yes to get married to him, and somebody else is a little old lady who she was suddenly cured. One of these good news, happy thing, it bombed. Failed terribly.
Hey, ruins the point.
It failed.
The newspaper and only grab is bad out there. Then saying that you bad is not that bad.
Oh, good. Yeah, all right. The other way, you get depressed. Why aren't such good things happening to people? And I got to live with this jerk. Okay, that could be.
On the top it has the quote from Eskan and Maftir when you're reading the good news. This is why good things happen, because they're telling that.
Okay, so somebody once explained, by the way, why is there such a temptation to read newspaper? Very interesting. Our big Rav, he once said, why is it that people we need to read the newspaper? I like to stay on top of the news. I like to stay on top of the news. You know what's really going on psychologically? It's a very interesting insight. Whether you agree with it or not, the insight's an interesting insight, and I think that there's a certain truth to it. The world's huge. I feel puny. I feel very small and insignificant. When I read the newspaper, say, okay, well, you know, a bus went off a ravine in India, you know, and there was a bomb in Pakistan and a couple of suicide bombers in Iraq, and there's a big strike going on in Kansas City. Okay, now I more or less got control of my little world, my world. Or okay, now I'm okay. You know, now I'm okay. I've got some sort of handle on the world. The world's not too big for me right now, right? that I have a feeling, which could very well be. It could very well be. But all of which is insignificant. Ultimately, none of it affects me. None of it's the only thing that really matters is the sports. Okay. So the which you know is true. The okay. Okay, now take a look at Pasuk Gimel. Take a look at Pasuk Gimel. Vel b'nei Yisrael tedaber leimor, and to the b'nei Yisrael you shall speak and say, Kichu seir izim lechatos, take a goat as a sin offering, ve'egel v'keves b'nei shana tamimim le'ola, and a calf and a sheep 1 year old is an ola. Now take a look at Rashi and Pasuk Gimel. He says, and to the b'nei Yisrael you should speak and say that the Bnei Yisrael should bring a goat as a chatas, an egel, and a keves also as an atonement for the egel, for the golden calf.
Why doesn't he just say to everybody to do it if it was for him and the children of Israel?
Well, he's got his own. He's got his own. Aaron has his own korban, and the Bnei Yisrael have their own korban. They have a separate korban. Okay, but sometimes it puzzle you, not curious. Sometimes it be puzzling you here.
Why are and in the next pasuk it says
No. Something about right there in Pasuk Gimel, something should be puzzling you.
Atone for the calf with the.
No.
It doesn't say who's supposed to tell the children of Israel.
Well, oh, good. Who is supposed to tell them?
Aaron?
Why would you say that?
Because he said it in the first.
Correct. It says Vayomer El Aaron. He says to on Pasuk Beis, it says Vayomer El Aaron. And then in Pasuk Gimel, he says Ve'el B'nei Yisrael Tadaber Lemor. So this is Moshe speaking, instructing Aaron that Aaron should speak to the Jewish people.
Yeah.
So what should puzzle you?
Why not just tell himself?
Why didn't Moshe, like everything else, why did Moshe usually talk to the Jewish people? Why does Moshe instruct Aaron to tell the Jewish people? Normally you find it, it's always Moshe Rabbeinu speaking to the, are you absolutely sure you're right? You see somebody doing it, but that's not what it says here. It doesn't say they should watch you doing it. Yeah. Moshe says to Aaron, you do your korban, and then tell the Bnei Yisrael to bring another korban. Normally you're right. That is the best way to ever educate anybody, is by doing it. That's how you educate children, by the way. You don't educate children by telling them what to do. You educate them by you doing it yourself. The problem is that that's harder. Much easier to tell kids what to do than it is to show it by doing it yourself. So I told you, they asked Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky once how he taught his children to make brachas in the home. Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky said, we never taught our children to make brachas. I made brachas. My wife made brachas. The kids saw us making brachas, so they made brachas. That's how you train children. To tell them to do it, that's not training. That's just command, that's controlling. Anybody can control children is very easy. Control them is very easy. All you got to do is yell real loud and punch them real hard. It's very easy to control them. That has nothing to do with training them. It has nothing to do with training them. The goal is to train them, not to control them. Because once they're 14, then you can't do that anymore. Now what? Then what? So you have to try to train them. So the best training, you're right, is to show by example. But it doesn't say that. He says, tell the Bnei Yisrael. So one of them before Shem says like this. What is the best way to show that you are, the Bnei Yisrael are bringing these korbanos also as an atonement for the golden calf? Oh. Now, if you're guilty of something, the last person you want to hear from is somebody who's guilty themselves. Right? Somebody who says to you, you know what, you know what, Alon, I think you ought to go to alcohol rehab. Yeah, I said with the bottle of whiskey in my hand. Right? Can you imagine walking over something? I'm drinking a bottle of whiskey, and I walk over and say, Akiva, you know, you ought to try, I think you need alcohol, some, you know, go to start going to AA. Right? And I'm walking around with a bottle of booze. Nobody wants to hear from you. Worry about yourself, buddy. You got your own problems over here. Right? You're telling me to do. The only person I want to hear from is somebody who is clean, somebody who behaves a certain way. Then he's somebody who could tell you how to correct your own flaws. So that's why I've told you several times. The reason, if your roommate would say to you, you know what, I think you speak too much Lashon Hara. You know, you're resented because who do you think you are, high and holy? You know, you're hanging out in bars at night and telling me about my Lashon Hara. You know, who do you think you are to tell me? I don't see you on any different level. If Rav Samet would say to you, stop speaking, you're speaking to us, well, this is a man who practices what he preaches. I see him as being on a higher level. From him, I'm willing to receive. What's the best sign to show that Aaron is clean of that sin of the golden calf? What is the best sign to show that he's clean of that sin of the golden calf? The answer is that he's given the assignment to tell everybody else what to do to atone for the golden calf. So if Moshe says, and Aaron, you tell them to bring the sacrifices, that's the sign that we're not holding it against you. That what you did because you felt that that was what needed to be done under the pressure, under the duress of the moment. On the other hand, it was you who said to bring the gold. You told the people, bring gold. You came up with the idea. You thought it would work. You thought it would be a delay technique that they wouldn't get through it. So you did tell them to bring the gold. Therefore, you're the one to do the speaking now. Perhaps your speaking now will serve as an atonement for your speaking when you told them to bring the gold to the golden calf. That's why. So both sides of it are covered. Okay. Vayikhu es asher tziva Moshe es al pnei Moed. It's about 7 lines from the top. Vayikrevu kol ha'eda, the entire congregation approached, Vayamdu lifnei Hashem. The congregation stood there in the presence of God. They all came near and they stood there in the presence of God. Okay. Now, one second, Shalom. The rule is only what I'm talking about. So the people come over and they're standing in the presence of God. Now, after all of this is done, Vayovo Moshe va'Aaron alo moed. Moshe and Aaron enter the tent. Vayetzu vayvorchu es ha'am. They come out and they bless the people. Vayera kivod Hashem al kolam. The glory of Hashem appears to the people. Now, compare that right over here again to Pasuk Hey. Vayikchu es asher tziva Moshe el pnei ol moed. They take what Moshe commanded. They bring it to the entrance of Ol Moed. Vayikrevu kol ha'eda vayamdu lifnei Hashem. They stand in the presence of God. And then, later on, after the service is completed, God shows, the fire comes down, consumes it, and it shows that the glory of God is revealed to the people. One of the common laments that people have in Yiddishkeit is, sometimes people they say, I did the mitzvah and I just didn't enjoy it, or I didn't feel anything from it. I didn't get anything from it. And one of the mistakes people make is people assume that when you do a mitzvah, you're supposed to get something from it. Now, we do get something from the mitzvah. Number one, you get rewarded in the world to come because you followed God's command. Number two, there will be an effect on your neshama. There is an effect on your neshama. However, the idea, and there is a perception, that I'm supposed to sense the effect on my neshama. And I'm supposed to either feel uplifted, or I should feel, I should actually feel some sort of guy told me, I put on tefillin for the first time and I didn't feel anything. I put on tefillin for the first time, I didn't feel anything. What would you like to feel? Did you feel a buzz like after 3 beers? I mean, you want to get a tefillin buzz? Is that what you like? That most people would. Put on tefillin, hey, right? That's what people would, that was what people would really like, right? Now, you might not feel, you're not going to feel that. If you do feel that, you're lying. And the only thing you're going to feel when you put on tefillin for the first time is that your arm is getting a little numb because you probably wrapped it a little too tight. But there is no physiological feeling. You may feel uplifted, you may feel good. The same way that if you help a little old lady cross the street, you do a chesed for somebody, you actually feel good. You feel good. Whenever a person behaves unselfishly, they feel good. When a person feels selfishly, they feel soiled. If you do a mitzvah, often after you've learned or after you've davened, you'll feel you feel uplifted. I did the right thing. That's a good feeling. But what about the times where you don't feel that? What about the times that you don't feel that? The answer is, V'yamdu lifnei Hashem. You stand before God. Whether or not you feel anything, I can't guarantee you. But your job is to stand before God. Usually the result will be that then the glory of God will appear. And you will get that sensation, that good feeling of accomplishment, and that feeling of, I've connected with the source. So a lot of people feel that usually, people use the word spiritual. Ooh, he's a real spiritual guy. Right? You ever hear that? Do you ever think of that? Spirituality. He's a spiritual person. How do you define spirituality? I still don't have a definition. Some people think, well, if you close your eyes at L'chadodi and you go like this, then you're a spiritual person, right? Most of us close our eyes at L'chadodi, and it certainly feels good because they're singing. Anytime they're singing, it feels spiritual. And, you close you sway back and forth. I close my eyes, I'm tired, so I'm a spiritual person. And you close your eyes. I don't know what spiritual person. I don't know what spiritual is. Who said that's spiritual? Who said every time you close your eyes, you're being spiritual? Right? I don't know what.
It does block one of your senses.
It does. I don't know what spirituality is. Yeah, but when you open your eyes, then you can see Tosfos. That also helps your senses. Right? With your eyes closed, you can't see the Gemara. Spirituality means I don't know. Spirituality is not a word that comes from Sinai, but a person who we sense. Sometimes we sense that a person is spiritual, meaning he doesn't have as much connection and need to the physical world. He just isn't an earthy person. But sometimes the person feels that I'm not enjoying it. I don't want to do it because I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy doing dishes, which is why I don't do them. Alone, not for you. Now you have to do them. I'm married longer than you. A lot of things in life, so you don't enjoy doing it. Sometimes say, well, I can't. It's very hard. Sometimes the person you have to tell somebody something. Somebody has to, Rahman al-San, you have to break the news to somebody. Oh, I couldn't do that. You better do it. I just can't do that. Well, he can't do it any better than you can. He wasn't created to be the bearer of bad tidings. Somebody's got to do it. Who said it's so easy for him? Just that he's doing it, and you're not. You could do it. You don't want to do it. That's something else. A lot of things in life we say, "Oh, it's too hard for me." Of course, it's hard. So, well, I can't do it. Yes, you can. I guarantee you can do it. I guarantee you can do it. Try it. You can do it. Some things you can't do. You can't paint. You can't paint like a face like Rembrandt. That you can't do, right? But you can do plenty of things that you can do. You don't want to do it. I don't want to do it either. Now what? When I was dating my wife, we were going out. I said to her, by the way, I just want you to know one thing. I don't do diapers. And my wife said to me, I don't either. Now what? All right. I did it like the best of them. And you will too. That's the way it works in life. You will. You'll do it. You'll do it. You'll man up and you'll do it. Right? That's the way it is. But I can't. Oh, yes, you can. You see, you'd be amazed what you could do. Torah tell you, you can do it. Stand before Hashem. You can do it. Will you feel something? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes you feel you're connecting. Sometimes you feel, I didn't get anything out of that. That's okay. That's okay. You did. That's okay. You'll be okay. Just keep doing it. Some days are going to be better, and some days are going to be worse. One way or another, you're going to feel. Right? If you don't sense it, okay, your neshama senses it. Nobody said that's a prerequisite. The experience shows that you will feel something. Most of the time, you'll feel something. Most of the time, you will feel uplifted. But don't be artificial. Don't fake it. Don't pretend. Oh yeah, I went to the kotel. I went to the kotel for the first time, and I felt so spiritual at the kotel. I don't know. I don't feel spiritual. I ducked a couple of times because of the birds. I didn't feel spiritual at all. I don't feel any different when I go to the kotel than anywhere else. And then sometimes I feel even worse because I've had to walk through the unsneest old city or something. So I'd be lying if I said when I get to the kotel I'm just overwhelmed with yearning for Jerusalem. Right, for the base of English. Right? So if you do, then you're a great person, and you're on a much higher level. I've never felt it. I go there and I daven because I know that it's supposed to be a good place to daven once in a while. So I go to kotel. But if I tell you that yes, those stones moved me, right? and haven't moved me any more than being in a shul. They haven't moved me any more than being in any shul. Okay, some people feel they do. I don't know. Maybe they're being honest. Maybe maybe they're trying to deceive themselves. I don't know.